why not? Why not? We are threatening checkmate there. Bishop c8. There is queen takes g2 checkmate. So as you see, the power of that bishop on b7. Hello everybody, my name is Emil Stefanov, International Master, and in this video, I will walk you through weekly scenario number 19 in Noctie. Let's get started. So, what do we notice on a first look? Well, black is down on exchange, so as you can see, white has an extra rook, but black does have a bishop and a pawn for it, so there's a little bit of compensation for the sacrificed exchanged. However, most importantly, we can notice that these two diagonals are extremely weak. So the a8 h1 diagonal and the a7 g1 diagonal are both extremely weak, mainly due to the fact that white's pawn is on f5. If we can miraculously push this pawn back all the way to f2, then in fact white will be slightly better. But here, not only is black having enough compensation for the sacrificed exchange, but black is indeed even in a better position. Before we go ahead and play our first move, we should try to understand why this pawn being on f5 is so important for black to be better. It mainly has to do with the weakening of the king and our two central pawns. See, this position most likely occurred from a Sicilian opening where black played rook a to c8 and sacrificed on c3, the white knight on c3, and managed to take the e4 pawn. They managed to exchange the knight for a dark square bishop. So these two central pawns are going to give us quite an advantage. We can just push them forward and they're going to limit the opponent's pieces' flexibility and mobility. So let's go ahead and think about their two first moves. I'm already thinking about d5, having mentioned that we should push these pawns. Alternatively, there is also the move bishop to g5. We're going to start with d5. If you're coming into this video not having played out this position, you should have paused long ago and played through on your own and try your best to win. If you have tried and you have failed, or you have won but it's taken you a long time and you're here to see what we're going to do, we're going to start with pawn to d5, just utilizing these pawns. Hopefully, if you've already played against Noctie as in a practice run, you already have played d5. Now, Noctie plays king h1. Understandable, we were trying to play bishop to c5, which looked like we were going to cause a lot of problems for Noctie. And now we have a decision, right? We could play d4, just already trying to attack the queen. We could still play bishop to g5, which will attack the queen on e3, and in the same manner attack the knight on d2. So Noctie will have to place the queen most likely on d3 or on c3, in which cases we do have ways to attack Noctie's queen. So let's go ahead and start with bishop to g5. As you can see, a great move. So let's see where Noctie positions the queen, queen d3. That makes perfect sense. And now I was thinking about knight c5 because that's another tempo against the white's queen. And, well, probably queen c3 is going to be the move to keep protecting the knight. But then we even get knight a4 attacking the queen. And once again, the queen's actually kind of at a loss for squares. I'm assuming queen b4 is going to be the move to keep the knight protected. Then, of course, our pawn is hanging. We should mention that, but we do have bishop takes d2. The moment we win two minor pieces, we should be in a completely winning position. So let's go ahead and start with knight to c5. And as you can see, a good move by Noctie. That's one of the advantages of playing Noctie, is just it's telling you if your moves were good or not good. And as we anticipated, queen c3, so we're going to play knight a4. Again, we're green-lit, so knight a4 attacks the queen. I'm assuming queen b4. Yeah, the only way to sort of cover the knight on the d2 square. So yeah, I think Noctie is going to try to play knight f3. So we could potentially play e4. Wait a second. We have bishop e7, don't we? We could just win the queen. I think that's pretty much it. There we go, bishop e7. And it's a great move. And we punish Noctie for the mistakes that it did. So queen b3, Okay, we didn't punish. We were never winning the queen, but it just felt nice to sort of lock this queen on a uglier square, and now we could try to play e4 and d4, right? The idea there was, if we had played on the previous move e4, I wasn't quite sure if Noctie goes knight b3 and knight d4. Of course, we could win another pawn in some situations, but maybe it was good for Noctie to just kind of blockade those pawns. Of course, we could have still continued with bishop e7, queen d2, knight b2, etc., etc. But it just felt like that was one of the other options. But here, I can freely play e4 and not have to worry about anything in particular. Yeah, I like that a lot. Alternatively, there's also knight c5, but I like e4, as you can see, limiting Noctie's pieces, and we're going to be continuing with pawn to d4, really just trying to keep pushing these pawns, and the bishops behind those pawns are going to get strong. So this bishop could also be positioned on f6. That's another good square for the bishop. So rook a d1 played by Noctie, that's a logical move, and we can continue most likely with d4 if the knight goes anywhere. We always have bishop f6. I'm not quite worried about that, so let's go ahead and play d4. Just keep pushing them. And I mean, this queen is getting into more and more dangers, right? So there you go. Noctie moves the queen out of the way, goes all the way to g3, lines it up with our king, but we do have the bishop there covering at all times. So I am quite interested in just capturing this pawn, which will also attack the rook, and after rook b1, just simply go back to a4. Doesn't seem problematic at all to me. Yeah, again, f6 will take. Let's go ahead and take on b2. Why not? It's just another pawn, so easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Knight takes b2 and rook b1, and just go back. We won one more pawn, so not only are we materially equal now, but I mean, come on, our pawns are just doing wonders. I don't know how Noctie stops these pawns, really. Of course, the c2 pawn is... Whoa, okay. I was just saying how Noctie stops these pawns. I don't think I missed anything. We do have our queen and bishop there, so we are just going to take... We're not going to panic. And our queen's there to cover the bishop on f6. Bishop covers the pawn on e4. Everything looks good. Yes, the rooks do need open files, but Noctie has sacrificed one too many pawns. And it already starts looking like I just have a free hand in the position. Bishop g4, there's no immediate threat. Always ask yourself, is there an immediate threat? Maybe other than some bishop f5, I don't really see anything else that could be a potential threat. So I'm really interested in just bringing my knight back into the game. With knight c3, that looks really natural, really good as well. Just keep attacking the rook on b1. And yeah, we can even go e3, knight e4. I mean, the position... I was going to say the position is playing itself out. Noctie didn't really like that move as much. I just assumed I just get the knight to f2 and I'm completely winning. Probably I could have done slightly better. Maybe I could have been a little more careful, but we should be fine. Interestingly enough, I'm also looking at this move, queen to b8. It's a funky little move because, I mean, I'm just trading the queens in a position in which it feels weird to do so, but we do have 7 pawns and 2 of them are very strong, the pawn on d4 and pawn on e3, and Noctie only has 4. So yeah, we have quite a lot of pawns for the sacrificed exchange. So even moves like queen b8, it's keeping it simple and no counterplay. So if you're in such a position, I do recommend that move, queen b8. Just a free position, easy position, nothing to worry about. Queens will get traded. The Noctie's queen cannot go anywhere to dodge the trade. And we're simply going to be winning. This knight on c3 is so strong. It covers a lot of the squares that the rooks would like to utilize. And lastly, of course, we do have knight e4 and f2 at almost any position. So if it was a real game, I would probably play knight e4. But I will most likely also consider queen b8, which we see it's a blunder by Noctie. It says, okay, you should not be doing this. But really, even if it's a blunder, we're still going to be able to win due to the fact that we trade the queens and we're just going to simply win afterwards. I will say, I understand why Noctie is saying that was a blunder. If we go back, I'm going to go back one more time. If we go knight e4, queen f4, it almost feels like we're trapping the queen. So maybe that's why Noctie is trying to say, okay, you should have done better in not playing queen b8, because after queen f4, of course we have knight f2. We should also mention e2 is there. Too many options to choose from, too many moves are winning. Keeping the queens on the board will help you to win. But let's stick with our move queen b8. Even though Noctie didn't really like it, it's still a really, really good move in my opinion, because we are simplifying the position when we are in a winning position. So that shouldn't be a mistake by any means necessary. So before Noctie played king h2, let's see if it does queen h2 now. I mean, it's about the same. Again, we could move this knight to e4. That's always a good idea, to just kind of reposition it to the f2 square. That's one opportunity. Another opportunity is just to play bishop e4 and just say, okay, I'm going to start trying to attack this pawn and win it, which is something I like more. So bishop e4, just attack this pawn. If the moment we eliminate that pawn, then the d4 and e3 pawns will have no problems moving. We can see Noctie is doing everything possible to prevent queen trade, but I mean, it's a little too late for that. Bishop takes c2, we just win an one more extra pawn, and then we have too many checkmating ideas. Just don't panic. Noctie is giving everything to stop the pawns, but eventually it's too much material. Now we're just up an extra piece. Too many extra pieces now at this point. We also have knight d5, which looks pretty good. Just utilizing the pin, and soon it's gonna be game over, and we're gonna go back into the starting position in a little bit after we finish off this game, and take a look at some of the other moves that we had as potential. Okay, rook e8. That's kind of a last resort. I mean, again, we could take, and we're simply up a piece with the queens getting traded, which is what we want. So rook takes b8. We can take rook takes b8 and extra piece. Always make sure that you're giving your king some space, so you never blunder. Checkmate. So g6, never a bad move. Never a bad move. You never blunder this way, and we just have this pass pawn to promote all the way. So a5, b4, b3. And then queen f1 with queen g2, checkmate. Alrighty, let's go back into the starting position and figure out the other move that we could have played right off the bat, which was bishop to g5. In the previous example, we saw pawn to d5. In this example, I'm already going to start with bishop to g5, as it forces the white queen into different choices, queen d3 or queen to c5. Or excuse me, queen d3 or queen c3. Now, queen c3 was chosen by Noctie. Otherwise, I feel like I would have had one too many attacks on the queen. So, queen to c3, very logical. And I could play pawn to d5, and we're in a way going to have a repetition if Noctie chooses to play king h1. There are other alternatives, such as queen to b6, give a check, and then play rook to c8, attack the queen, and once again, the queen's having a really difficult journey of how to protect the knight. So I actually like that a lot. Already forcing matters with queen b6, and after rook f2, we would have had bishop e3. So there you go, rook c8 now attacks the queen, and once again, the queen is in dire danger, and it has to keep protecting the knight, which is not an easy journey. I guess queen d3, we have pawn to e4, and then against queen b4, I guess the c2 pawn was hanging. So I think already Noctie made a mistake playing queen c3 against bishop g5. Alternatively, we could also play knight c5 with the idea that after queen c3, was almost looking at knight e4, but that's one too many pieces sacrificed for the queen. I guess knight a4 I like a lot, and then queen b4 will be the necessary move, and then it almost feels like there should be something. I mean, rook c2 is always the most basic move and it wins. I should mention e4 also looks like it's winning because, I mean, where does the queen go? We just take the knight afterwards. So, oops, sorry, knight e4. Sometimes we miss the simplest things, yeah? It almost feels like we had knight e5, but queen d6 was going to be a temple. That's where my mind was confused because I was thinking, okay, queen g3, I guess our bishop was still hanging. That's an alternative as well. So never mind that move. Let's go ahead and jump knight c5, what we decided at first hand. And queen g3, but now it's just a free knight. Yeah, I'm assuming queen b4. We had, at the very least, we had a5. And, well, after queen c3, knight a4, queen b4. Yeah, at the very least, we had rook c2. Here, don't panic. That's the most important thing. Don't panic, please. We're going to have knight e6 in many cases to cover the checkmate. We have g6, we have bishop h6. We have all the options. I'm going to choose g6 as it feels the safest. And from here on, we have two minor pieces. That should be quite sufficient to win in this position. The only thing that we need to do is just make sure that this pawn is not going to stay there forever, or if it does, that there's no way for the enemy queen to kind of infiltrate our position. 94 right off the bat looks like one of the most logical moves because we are attacking the queen and the knight is in the center. I mean, everything's looking like it's going down for white. So also this pawn was hanging, so Noctie chooses queen d3, but okay, all we gotta do is, once again, just be vigilant and don't blunder into anything in particular. So knight f2, rook f2, queen f2, that doesn't seem sufficient because our rook is hanging there, but we are threatening checkmate, so why not? Why not? We are threatening checkmate there. Bishop c8, there is queen takes g2, checkmate. So as you see, the power of that bishop on b7, we're just up an extra piece now, and the rest of the game is going to be extremely easy. So with bishop g5, it looks like Noctie just made a mistake really early on. Here, we're up a piece. We can just trade queens, play rook takes c2. We're going to win that game. So how about we go back into the starting position, and hopefully after bishop g5, Noctie can play the more correct move, which is queen to d3 instead of queen to c3. Alrighty, so after bishop g5, we're hoping we see queen d3, but instead we see queen a7. Okay, that's a little bit of a shock to me because, yes, the queen is attacking the bishop. We do have some bishop takes g2 options, but more importantly, it almost feels like we're trapping Noctie's queen after knight c5 and something like queen c7, rook a8, or just in general queen c7. It almost feels like we're trapping Noctie's queen, although we do have to be a little bit careful. Obviously, we don't want to walk into an 89 a4 and, you know, our queen is being pinned, so we wouldn't be able to take the knight. But it is very interesting at the very least. I was not prepared for this option, so I have to think a little bit and formulate my thought process. And it does feel like, it does feel like I have knight c5. That looks like a good move with what I was talking about, trapping the queen. So this was quite a shock. Let's go knight c5. It almost feels like we're so close. Yeah, I saw this move, knight b3. It did not feel right to me. It didn't feel right to me because, once again, I played bishop e3 check. As you can see, all of these problems for white are happening because this pawn's on f5. If this pawn was on f2, Noctie wouldn't be having so many difficulties. But now, yeah, I just want to play queen g5 and checkmate. Once again, that's kind of my plan. And I'm also covering my bishop, so that allows me things like knight takes b3 and knight takes a1, which will be an attack on the queen as well. Alternatively, I also could take rook f3, take, attack the queen, attack the rook. Yeah, I think I'm winning another piece. So there we go. Noctie once again blundered against me. Bishop f3 resumes checkmate, and knight b3 is just a discovered attack on the queen. No problems against my king. Queen e3, rook e3. Knight takes a1. I know the knight looks trapped over in the corner, but it is an extra knight. And how do you win it? How do you win it? It's not easy to win it. Okay, it's not easy to save it, but I'm assuming at one moment we are going to play d4 and d3 and just kind of let that knight breathe. Yeah, king g1 makes sense. Noctie's trying to get the king back in the action. I definitely want to play d4, rook d8, and yeah, just free up my puppy, free up my knight. Pawn to d3, and oh, okay, knight takes c2. Okay, I was rushing it. If you ever are thinking about a position, you don't know the right moves, you can always click on the show ideas button in Noctie. It's really good. So the moment I saw d3 being not a green move, I just understood I missed something. I was kind of blitzing those options. If you see at show ideas, knight takes c2, h5, g5, all great moves. And why are they great moves? Well, h5, g5 gives your king that extra space, so you never get checkmated on the back rank if you kind of move your rook. And knight takes c2 is an obvious, easy tactic that is pretty simple. It couldn't have been taken because d3 was there, and after king d2, now the knight is threatened, but after pawn to d3, now we save the knight, and of course the pawns are going to one way or another promote very soon. So Noctie's gonna try the best to stop them. Okay, there was other better options, but I'm not gonna get it stuck on the most precise way of winning. I see that I'm winning in this position. Check, and next move is gonna be queen c2, checkmate. Let's go into the starting position one last time. As mentioned, the reason why we are actually not just in a better position but also in a winning position is due to the fact that the dark squares are extremely weak. Either way you find your bishop, this way, on this diagonal or that diagonal, the diagonals, all of them are extremely weak. And the other factor is Noctie's pieces are also extremely weak. In many cases, if Noctie is able to play bishop f3, bishop b7, trade those bishops right off the bat, our advantage is going to diminish significantly because then the central pawns are not going to be as strong. But when we play d5, it almost feels like our pawns are just able to be pushed naturally one after the other. So it almost feels like we can play d4 and e4, just keep pushing them into the center very easily. So for example, d4, tempo on the queen, e4 after, let's say, Noctie plays queen g3, e4. As you can see, these two pawns are amazing at limiting Noctie's pieces. And anytime you see moves like a4, just be careful. Sometimes you're gonna want to play b4 and close the position. Sometimes you probably don't need to worry as much. The reason why I'm looking not to play b4 is because it surrenders the c4 square. So this position, your advantage is very much of positional nature. Noctie's pieces have less squares to be placed on, less active squares to be placed on, while our pieces just naturally take really good supportive squares for the pawns, and in and of itself, the pawns become extremely dangerous the longer we play because we're so close to promotion. So in this example, I will play queen b6. As you can see, excellent move. Just making sure that we keep the pawn protected, limiting the c4 square. We're not afraid of this a file opening up. And step by step, we will continue to improve our position. Anytime knight a5, let's say, happens, make sure you don't give up your bishop. Protect your bishop. And the way I would set up here is probably something like bishop to f6 and probably get the knight active. Look for maybe for rook c8 options, maybe rook e8 options supporting the central pawn, and just gradually keep improving your position without giving Noctie's pieces, much activity. So, with all that being said, good luck in your games, and I'll see you in the next weekly scenario. Ciao.